Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
I don't know whether it has. CyberArk has provided capability of installing Cluster Vault in cloud infrastructure or not, but till February. Till February 2022, they haven't provided a capability for installing vaults in either cluster or distributed in the cloud infrastructure. In case, if you are implementing CyberArk in either AWS or Azure, we should fire up that vault images. It's in a standalone architecture only, not in distributed or not in cluster vault. But in case if your CyberArk infrastructure is in on-premise, we can install in cluster vault or distributed vault architecture. Now open policy and access control saves. Select that save one and click on members and click on add member. I told you, like, in case if you want to provide access to any account, we need to provide access at safe level. At safe level, we have multiple permissions. I will go through each permissions now. First one is access tab. Inside access, you have use accounts, retrieve accounts and list accounts. If you provide access to retrieve accounts, they will able to. Means that end user will able to copy or sort the password for that particular account. Means whatever accounts you have onboarded to this particular safe, for all those accounts, that end user will be able to retrieve the password for that account. If you provide use and list, then they will able to connect to the target server without retrieving the password. If you unselect that retrieve accounts checkbox, and if you provide only use and list accounts, then they will be only able to connect to the target server, but they can't retrieve the password. If you provide retrieve permission also, then they will be able to retrieve the password for that particular account. And next one is in case if you provide only list accounts permission and unselecting use and retrieve accounts permission, then they will be able to see the accounts but they can't connect or they can't retrieve the password. If that end user wants to connect to the target server, then you need to provide use and list, not retrieve. And if that end user wants to retrieve the password for that particular target account, then you need to provide all the three permissions. Use list retrieve, then that end user will be able to connect and also retrieve the password for that particular account. Typically, if I'm to understand, then auditor might need only the list of accounts but not use the accounts or retrieve accounts. Next is account management. Inside account management, we have multiple options like add account, update account content. In case if you provide add account permission, then that end user will be also able to add an account into this particular safe. And update account content and update account properties. If you provide these two permissions, then end user will be able to modify that account details like address, username and password, all those details. Next one is initiate CPM account management operations. If you provide these permissions, then the end user will also be able to reconcile the password of that particular account. And he is able to change the password of that particular account and rename account, delete account, unlock account. Rename accounts means that end user will be able to change the name of that particular account. And delete accounts, he can be able to delete the accounts. Unlock accounts means in master policy, we have a policy like exclusive check in checkout. In case if you activate that policy whenever, if you connect to any target server, then that account will be locked with your name. For example, Vinayak is an admin and Mohammad is also a cyber architect. Vinayak has connected to one CPM server using one account. And Mohammad also wants to connect to the same server and same account. But initially Vinayak has connected to that server in case in master policy. That exclusive check in checkout policy has activated. Then that account has locked with Vinayak name. Then Mohammad can't log in means can't access that account. In case if Mohammad wants to try to connect to that account, then it will throw an error message like this account is already locked by the user Vinayak. In that case, if Mohammad wants to unlock that account, then Mohammad needs this permission. Unlock accounts permission. Like in case if you want to unlock any other user account which was locked by that user for that particular account, then we require this unlock permission. I will go through this unlock accounts permissions in later class. Once we will go through that master policy, then I will explain in a better way. Just scroll down and expand safe management. In safe management, we have many safe members and backup safe, many safe members and backup safe. In a safe means we can edit the safe. We can modify that radio button, save last 5 or since our last 7 days, password versions, all those stuff and many safe members. If you provide this access, then on that safe, that end user will also be able to add members or delete members on that safe and a backup safe. In case, basically, this backup safe permission will be available too. Backup user. A backup user can take the backup of all the safe. Back in case if you have a backup safe permission, then we can take the backup of the safe. Next one is monitor. In said monitor, you have two permissions. We audit log and view safe members. If you have these two permissions, then only we can view the activities tab in the account label. Yesterday, we have checked once that a CPM verify password completed. And if you have a change password completed or reconcile successful, then you can go to that activities tab and you can check all the logs. If you have this view audit log or view safe members permission, then only you can be able to check that activity logs. Now expand workflow. In master policy, we have another policy called a dual control. In case if that a dual control is enabled on that platform. Then in case if you want to access any account, then one of your manager or team lead need to approve. Then that approver needs have this permission. Authorized account request level 1 or level 2. Even though if that a dual control is enabled and if you want to connect to that account by bypassing the dual control, then you require this access safe without confirmation permission. As of now, you don't understand properly about this workflow, but again, I will go through this workflow and other unlock accounts permissions in later classes. Like, once we go through that master policy, we'll go through that. Next one is advanced. Under advanced, we have create folders, delete folders and move accounts are folders. If you want to create any folders inside safe, you require this create folders. And if you want to delete any folders from the safe, you require this delete folders permission. And if you move account from one safe to another safe, you require this last permission means that end user needs that last permissions move accounts or folders. And but for the creation is only at the private client, not on the PVW, not on the PVW, and users doesn't require this permissions. That's correct. And at last you have membership experts on date. If you select the checkbox, you will get one calendar. I just to select the checkbox. Scroll down, click on the icon. And now scroll down the entire page, not this step. No, not this step, and interpret. Scroll down here, we can see one calendar. For example, you have a requirement like you need to provide access to one particular user for particular time period. For example, you got a requirement like you need to provide access to all the accounts which were onboarded into this safe for 10 days. Then what you will do? You need to select this membership experts on date and select the 9 plus 10, 19. You need to select a 19th date on the calendar. Then after 9D, the date, automatically that end user will not be able to see any accounts which were onboarded into this safe. Simply, you are restricting the access for particular time period. In case, if you want to restrict the access for particular time period, then you need to select a membership, experts on date. After that, you need to select the membership experts on date. After that particular date, that end user will not be able to see any accounts after he log in. Close this. Any doubts, you can ask me. No, none for the moment. All of the actions, whatever we configure on this platform, is only for the safe that is to be controlled via PVA. Yep, except for the last one. Whatever accounts, you have all of the actions, whatever you have onboarded into the safe one. All those accounts permissions will be restricted at safe level by selecting these options. That REPL SL point, we just load it on a component. I think the folder should be by default map. Let me check. You're still able to see my screen. CyberFVM and replicate. Copy this file to your VM and extract. Run the setup. What will this install? Before running the setup, I will tell you like, this replicate utility is required for taking Vault backup. In case, if you want to take your Vault backup, either full backup or incremental backup, you need to install this replicate utility in any one of the component server or in a different server. Now click on next. You can provide any name here. Even this is getting installed in private itself. Private or replicate folder. It should create a shortcut or we have to look for that file. It got installed now. C program files. Cytix, private, Arc replicate. This is the installation directory for your replicate utility. Now open Vaultini and change your Vault IP address. That's 10.1.1. I'll just save this. We have updated our Vault IP address. After installing Vault Server, you will get 7 default users. Out of 7 default users, one user is backup user. That backup user will be helpful for taking the vault backup. Now you need to log into CyberArk client and activate that backup user. That backup user will be helpful for taking the vault backup. I'll take ransomware server 2. That's 915. Now I'm going to find my whos folder which is one of mine. I'll tag those installation which I do already. Try to connect to sorty tally expand system. Select backup. Go to update. Click on update button. Here you can see the area. Unselect that and go to authentication tab. And set one password for this. Click on. And log off from the CyberArk client. Minimize. What we did is we just activated our backup user in the CyberArk client. Now we need to create the CRED file for this user. We need to create the CRED file for this user. Go back to your installation directory of the replicate utility. Left hand side. Here in case not only for this user. In case either CPM or PSM or PBA, that user CRED files got corrupted. Then we have a utility called create CRED file. Using that utility, we can create the CRED file and create CRED files for that particular user. Now you have opened, close this command prompt. I will tell you one easy way. Just on the empty space, hold the shift. No, on the empty space, hold the shift key. No, on the empty space, hold the shift key. Open command window here. Now type create and hit the tab key. A tab key in your keyboard. We can create ini files or CRED files. Also for ACRED files, hit enter. Give the username as backup. Just you have activated your backup user in the CyberArk client. Just we are providing that username and hit enter and provide the password, whatever you have entered in the CyberArk client for this. Enter, enter, enter. Keep on clicking enter for 4 or 5 or 6 times. Again. You can see one useScript file got created in the directory replica directory userini. If you open that userini, you can see the userini username as backup and password is in encrypted format. This backup userCRED file will log into the vault, and this backup user is having backup save permission for all the saves. Now close this save, close this file. Now we need to run one command for taking backup. Now go back to your command prompt. I will tell you the command, just type it pa replicate. Type pa replicate. Tabs. Vaulted. Vaulteg machine. space forward slash. Log on from file. Using a file. Use forward slash. Full backup. Single word full backup. See, it is generating a full backup. Means it is gathering all the data from the vault and it is storing inside this server. Where is this backup created? Can we create it? No, I will show you that directory also. Minimize this command prompt. Now open PA-replica log file. After in a file you have a log file also below to that open this. Go inside the parsing. This is the log file for the PA-replicate utility. Here we can see replicating, save, replicating, save. All the saves got replicated. And at the end you can replicating process for a vault. Kita, relatively no errors. This is the log file for PA-replicate utility. Now close this file. Now open uclibsp ini. To open this, let's see the YAML file. Here we can see the safe directory. Also subscribe doshi used will be stored in the CyberArk saves. Now close this file and go to C drive, open private arc folder and open saves folder. Here open data. See here all the saves from your vault got replicated to your component server. If you open that root temp, all those are in encrypted format. We can see the password. In case if you want to restore the data from this location to your vault, we have a different format, different commands and we require master CD, all those stuff. That is different means entirely. That is a different process. But if you want to take backup, you need to trigger this full backup command and that backup will be stored in the location, whatever you have defined in the TS parameter, that I end up filing the replicate installation directory. Hold on. Here I could change the directory to shell drive or something like that as well. Yep. And what if you know, maybe I would want to take only backup for 10 days or maybe a period of time. You know how do we do it, then that should be covered later. No, I just maximize that command prompt. We have a cyber has provided two things. We can take either full backup or incremental backup. If you want to take incremental backup, just click on up arrow in your keyboard in the command prompt. Now remove that full backup for the last. Just keep until userinf. One more backspace enter. See here generating incremental backup. Now open the log here, replicate.log file, scroll to bottom and see here only it will replicate the modified saves. Whatever saves has updated from your last backup, only those saves will be replicated and remaining all the steps, all the saves will be saved. That's enough. Now we can start and see. This is we just replace the old things back, but of the design external verb misreend and put some more options. See here we have your Android stepped passo mandatory. Andri, forget about that. Like I said this time, be on a remote server wherever it can talk to the world. That's all. That's the primary requirement. That's the primary requirement that a server need to communicate to the vault on 185. In that server, you need to install this replicate utility and you need to schedule that task. That's it. At that particular time, the task will be triggered and your vault full backup or incremental backup will be taken into that server. That's it. But you need to monitor it manually, or you need to write a script to monitor that scheduled tasks. Otherwise, in case if it is got failed, how you will know? You need to monitor manually or through script. But we can still take help from AutoSource or some of these schedulers, job scheduler, new C4 or whatever. In case if you schedule it in a task scheduler, even Splunk team is also able to monitor. I mean correct. In case if you ask a Splunk team to monitor particular folder or a particular task, they will also able to monitor that, and in case if that failed, that means that task got failed immediately. We will get a notification and we need to log into that particular server and we need to check the log why it got failed. This is about Vault full backup and incremental backup. In case if you want to take your Vault full or incremental backup, you need to install Payfex and upload. You will have to execute deploy repeat huni she, but I could hypothetical question. What if in a scenario my physical server is running out of space? I take a full backup, I take an incremental backup. Should I go ahead and start deleting the recordings on the safe itself to create more space? Or what is the best practice? To avoid such scenarios, what we need to do? We need to configure SMMP monitoring. In case if you configure MMP monitoring to the vault, and in that MMP configuration you will give one parameter like whenever if your disk space reaches to 70%, immediately you will get a notification through email. 70% means 100% difference. Immediately you need to take an action. In case if your vault is in cluster environment, then we will ask our CentTeam storage team to increase our DLM. We will ask our CentTeam to increase our DLM in case. If it is a standalone vault, then we can trigger a failover and we can increase our production vault at disk space. Like that, we need to take action. Basically, you're saying that if it's a standalone or a physical vault by itself, then the best way would be to replicate and do a DR and then add additional disk space to it. Correct, exactly. And likewise, once we fail back again, do the same thing for the DR, because both the production and DR disk space, everything will be in common, exactly. And we, at the time of the vault installation, we had skipped one component, monitoring or something like that. You said that could be done later. Remote monitoring or something like that. Yep. Remote monitor, remote control agent. Come something like that, yes. Remote control agent, that is it's different, but SMP is different. Correct? But what is the purpose of that? Do we have that package installer, or we have to start doing the vault installation? Then choose only that component to be installed. That we can install separately remote control agent monitoring. Using that also, we can monitor that vault services and the remaining stuff. Here PSM recording. If I go click open and proper properties, see there is some space allocation that needs to be done. Correct. What happens if this goes full? You will get alerts in the ETL log. But what will happen? What are the consequences of it if it's full? To my understanding, I think only the recordings from the PSM server will not be moved to Vault. Correct? That's the only worst case scenario that could happen. My PSM could still increase the space because it is holding all the recordings. As soon as I maybe as you said, increase the physical hard drive itself, add a couple of more drives, then reallocate it. Then it should be fine because it is moving from PSM to Vault by itself. Correct. But here we can face some other issue also. That's try to upload the recordings to Vault, but this PSM recording safe got full. I mean that site got full and it is unable to upload the recordings, then it may throw some different error. And that PSM service got stopped, or that recordings will move to errors folder, and that PSM service or PSM will be malfunction. Those kind of errors we can see. This was good. This was one of the scenarios which we faced. What happened typically was nobody knew what cyberhack and everything was all about. And because the guy who was in charge, he was on vacation for like good 2 weeks during his notice period. At that point in time, the storage on the PSM was absolutely full and nobody was able to establish a new sessions. Correct, and the connections are getting disconnected time and again. Even if it were to be like, maybe for Mohammed, it is happening for me, and you, it is not able to connect. But maybe after 5-10 minutes, you are able to connect. I'm not able to connect. Something of that kind was happening. Because that, due to the retention period, might be that old recordings got deleted and something like that was happening. No new sessions were coming in. Then we checked the logs and the logs clearly stated that storage full or maybe unable to record or something like that. Recording failed. Then we checked on CyberHack forums. That's when we realized that there is only a storage issue. Then we just added like 10 GB immediately because it was on a storage box connected to set. You need to add extra space to this exactly. We did it to the D drive because that's where all the recordings were there. We did that and we were able to get back to life. To avoid all this case of us, we did that. The next step is to configure SM, TP and SMP. If you configure SM and TP, then immediately you will get an email notification from the vault. Whenever, if you are recording safe got full or your D, all application got stopped immediately. Immediately we will get email notifications from the vault stating like we have some recordings, say for some 90% or 10%. All those stuff you will get, then we need to take an action immediately, and also apart from that. In case there is no health check configuration for your vault and your component server, definitely we need to monitor manually. I mean by logging into that server every day at least once into that vault server and check it a lot, and log into DR Vault server and check PADI log whether replication is happening or not. All this stuff. Either ops team need to check manually or some other team need to check manually. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.